I've written some stuff down here which I do want to say, because if I don't write it down, I won't be able to say it properly. I'll get muddled up with
Release, mate.
Get it out. Get it all out.
So this thing of the class of 92, 93, I can't remember what the actual name of it is. 92. This nostalgia, this idea of, it's the same, I hate to say it, but it's the same idea of Brexit. Go back to a time where stuff was better.
Yeah.
That's essentially what this kind of like imprinted. South Park did an entire series on it called, and the theme of it was member berries, them going, remember when things were great? Yeah. That's essentially what this is. And it's basically blinding people. It's blinding people and blinding like kind of people who want to support the locality of it and the kind of like the roots of the club. It's such blatant, obvious propaganda by the United board. They're pushing this idea of obviously young British talent because it's cheap. That's essentially why. It makes people go, oh, I remember a time when everyone from United was coming up and everyone was these like young youth player teams. Realistically, we've had one youth team work.
Yeah.
There's been 2 or 3 or 4 other youth players that have come through and done okay, but realistically, it's one youth team 20 years ago. That's what it is. It's not like a continuous run of youth players doing really well in the team. You look at the youth players that have come through since. Johnny Evans, really, what's that? You have Darren Fletcher. That's the only other one recent out of the set that I would say was a solid United player. Is Darren Fletcher.
Yeah.
You look the other players that have come through. You've had
was Carrick there?
No, Carrick was signed from Tottenham. He was signed from Spurs and he was at West Ham before that.
At Newcastle.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's Geordie, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is Geordie. And then you look at all the who else really has come through the United youth system.
Yeah, that's a great point actually.
Who else has come through that United youth system and done well? Darren Gibson. Lingard is literally Lingard and Rashford are the only other 2 that you could say have become like established United players from that youth team.
Well, there you go then. That's the bias.
But it's such an obvious lie that they're now drawing back on. They went, we got lucky 20 years ago. Let's see if we can make people believe it again.
Yeah, I mean, like that doesn't happen constantly.
No, it never happens.
And also you have to remember that during that time you had one of the greatest managers ever lived, bringing them through.
And everything about the club had been completely reshaped. And the thing that people forget about is you still had a defensive structure in that team. You still had established players in that team. It wasn't everything being reliant on the young players to go and do it. And the thing is, most of these young players had already been starting for a few years. Most of them had been obviously. I think Beckham had already been like, he might have gone out on loan at some point. That's why he went out to Preston, I think, at some point.
Yeah, I think it was Preston.
You had Giggs, who was a young like talent at the time. He was classed as like the young super young talent.
Who Alex Ferguson had picked himself when he was like 8 years old from some Welsh town.
And he'd been playing in the team for 3 years at this point. He'd been in and out of the team since like the 91, 90s, so that sort of period of time. You had established players in the team. You had Mark Hughes still floating about the team. You had McClare. You had Pallister and Bruce. You still had these players when this lot were coming through who were like established like cup-winning players. There's no one in this current United team who represents that. So everything, all the points of like, let's hit this nostalgia, they're missing the kind of key points of it. Like you look at it, youth players are essentially free signings on minimum wages. That's essentially what they are. So this is for me why the club's promoting the idea. It's not because it's a big moral decision at all. It's because it's essentially free. They're praying that Rashford becomes world class. They're absolutely praying for it. And to be honest, so am I. I want it to be. It may sound like I'm not because I'm saying he's terrible all the time, but he is terrible the majority of the time. And so it's suddenly you're hoping that these players suddenly become world class so they can say told you so, knew it would work. And the same with McTominay, same with Greenwood, same with all of these youth players that are now basically they're not world class yet.
No,
and the problem is sorry to
no go on, get it out.
The simple truth is these players aren't world class. They're they're basically being wrapped in cotton wool and voided of any criticism whatsoever, and the longer that happens is the longer they'll take to develop, because they're not living in the real world. They're living in this thing of we can do whatever we want because there's no one else. They can't insult us.
That is also how's a difference. Like, football's changed now. And back in those days, in the class 92, they were still cleaning other players' boots, and they were, they were made to work for stuff. But now,
that's a good point.
All the youth players now, they want like 30 grand a week straight away.
If you're quick, young and English, you get into United's first team as a youth player now, and you're seen as he needs to be starting.
But and also you've got a following by the age of 17, 18. Cause you're on social media, and fans who are really tuned into the club know very much who you are from the age of like 16 or so. But I just wanted to say, once you lay it out all on the table like that, it does actually become, the bias becomes very, very hard to ignore.
Yeah.
Because even when you factor in like Mason Greenwood, I'm assuming he's a product as well.
Yeah, he's a product. He's scored like a decent amount of goals for the under 18s or whatever it is.
Like the way he's been hyped.
He's played about 8 minutes of football.
Yeah.
He's not gone out on loan, so he's not been able to go and look good somewhere else. He's played in the under 18s.
Yeah, I think you're just really trying to find that next superstar, and Arsenal were kind of guilty of this as well. That's why I'm just glad we've got this more cutthroat approach, which was demonstrated by selling our number one youth player Alex Iwobi on the last day of the season transfer window.
Yeah, I think that this is the thing. Another thing that I've seen. I've been looking around the stats for this a lot, because this is going to be not the only time, but it's going to be one of the main times I actually get everything out to kind of put it down as a point. When Ole came in, our five highest earners were Sanchez, Pogba, Lukaku, Fellaini, De Gea. 3 of them are gone.
Yeah, I saw
80 million in transfer fees in, 850k a week per week has been saved on wages. No one has come in to even verify any of that.